Two more named tropical systems look to develop within the next week, and one of those could be taking a very similar path as Helene. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. It is nice to see you on a Saturday. I hope you're doing well. Coming up in this video, we're going to get into your island by island rainfall forecast over the next several days and then really deep dive into the tropics. The tropics have been hot and they continue to heat up. We've got two named storms in the Atlantic and two more that could be developing within the next week. As always, I love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comment section where you're viewing from, what the weather has been like. Obviously, if you have been impacted by Helene, our thoughts are with you guys. Look, yesterday we kind of talked a little bit about Helene, but I want to expound on that just a little bit more. The devastation in the United States, in the Southeast United States, obviously in general, from Helene has been tremendous, even more than the highest end that I was expecting. The amount of flooding, the amount of areas that are just inundated in water are literally astronomical. So I wanted to take a second just to let everyone know that, and I've actually got a little bit of video to show you guys from a couple of spots. We'll start with my hometown of Crystal River, Florida, which is right there on the west coast. And this is a little bit inland. This is the intersection of Highway 19 and 44, if you know it. I mean, this is the major thoroughfares through the city. And even as of late yesterday, look how much water was still in that area. And that means there's a lot of homes and businesses that still have a lot of water in them. And again, this was the beginning of what Helene caused. Then Helene moved into areas that weren't expecting as much flooding. And I'm talking about Georgia, Tennessee, and North Carolina. Friends, this is a small area called Chimney Rock, North Carolina. There should be a little town where you see all of this mud and where you see all of that timber. Literally, the debris flow and water rushing through this low area washed out this entire small town. It's basically gone. It's unbelievable. And of course, along with this, you've got roads that are out, you've got bridges that are out. The next piece of video I'm going to show you, and I've been doing this for 25 years in some of the most extreme weather places in the world, including Oklahoma City. This piece of video is one of the most extreme that I've ever seen. Friends, this is a debris flow in eastern Tennessee. I want you to look at, this is kind of the aftermath, but look at the beginning of this video. Look how fast that debris flow is coming in from the higher terrain. That is not sped up video. That is how fast the water and the debris flow and just all of the gunk and the trees and the mud that are picked up by the water coming down from the higher elevations is rushing into the lower areas. It's unbelievable. Look how fast that is. This is why the devastation is as it is. And this is why we talked about the inland river flooding causing more deaths in a landfalling hurricane than anything else. This is more than 300 miles inland. And they're seeing that. And there are so many large areas that are completely cut off. And I'm talking about all the roads leading into areas that are absolutely either washed out or they're impassable. And the flooding continues in a lot of these areas. So our thoughts are with our friends here who have been impacted. This is a situation that's not going to make itself any better anytime soon with the level of destruction that the Southeast United States has seen. So now we'll move on and we'll talk about what's happening in our area. Now, obviously, most of the time we'd start off with taking a look at the current conditions across the area and a live look at some of the satellite data. That satellite feed that I have in my system is dead right now. It's gone. So I don't have any satellite data to show you from the system. I do have the NOAA visible satellite imagery, so we'll take a look at that. So for today across the eastern side of the Caribbean, we've had some scattered showers moving into the Lesser Antilles. You notice a nice surge of moisture into the central side of the Caribbean. That has allowed some scattered showers to develop over Puerto Rico, where we've had some heavier downpours. We're getting some good rain for the Dominican Republic and Haiti in spots. Santo Domingo is one of those areas that had some of the showers. This is going to try and work its way into Jamaica and to Cuba, maybe as far north as the Turks, the Caicos. We can continue to see the opportunity for the ABC Islands to catch some scattered showers as well. If you live in these areas, if you've had some of that rain, again, let me know in the comments section below. Then we look to our western zones, and we're continuing to see that Central American gyre feed in some moisture to Central America. So places like Nicaragua and Honduras and Guatemala and Belize have had some showers developing across the coast and working inland. Same thing for our friends in the Yucatan. It's actually been a relatively quiet day in portions of the Bahamas. We've had a few showers skirt the far northwest side of the Bahamas. Places like Grand Bahama and Walker's Key have had a passing shower there. Bermuda has also had a few showers. These are your temperatures, and these are live here on this Saturday afternoon. And again, you can see places like Santo Domingo when their temperature drops down, indicating a passing shower. That's the actual air temperature. These are the feels like numbers. And again, for the areas that haven't had the rain for today, you are looking at some triple digit feels like temperatures, anywhere from about 40 to 43 degrees Celsius. You get to 110 Fahrenheit, which is what the numbers are here. You've hit 43 degrees Celsius. So we've had some rain in the area for today. We've had a little bit more as well. Before we get into that, we're going to actually get into, of course, the model data here. So let's do that. Now we're going to look at the short-term island by island rainfall forecast. We'll take a look at the short-term model. Then we're going to dig deep into the tropics and obviously this area, which sticks out like a sore thumb for additional potential tropical development. But first things first, I'm going to take off those development areas here, and we're going to look at the models over the next couple of days, kind of get you prepared. So in the short term, at least through Tuesday of next week, not expecting any tropical development. That being said, it is still going to be very wet. We have our Central American gyre, which is still a factor. And remember, Helene developed off of the southeast side of that Central American gyre and then moved its way north and west into the Northwest Caribbean, into the Yucatan Channel, and then into the Gulf of Mexico. And there's a very similar setup as trying to rear its ugly head for mid next week. Now ahead of it, it's still going to be broad and disorganized showers and storms. It's the exact potential evolution that Helene had. Remember, we had some wet, sloppy rains down towards Costa Rica and Panama that spun into Nicaragua and Honduras and Belize. We've had passing heavy rain in Jamaica, and my friends in Jamaica got hit pretty hard by Helene, especially on the tail end as Helene moved north. So again, not discounting what some of the Caribbean islands have seen as well, but obviously we had some tropical storm conditions in the Cayman Islands, and you can see that we're going to start to see a broad spin again in the Western Caribbean by early next week. Generally speaking, again, these are going to be disorganized showers and storms, but from the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and especially Jamaica, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, all of Central America and the Yucatan, right back into a fairly wet pattern. Now, we're still going to have passing showers coming into the Lesser Antilles, back into the U.S. and British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. But again, nothing extremely organized in these areas, all right? The opportunity is going to be there. So let's take a look at a couple of spots here real quick. Just going to zoom in. Again, places like Antigua and Barbuda, you can see nothing is extremely organized or, that's going to be sticking around for very long, but passing showers with some heavier downpours, certainly in the forecast over the next couple of days. That'll be true for Anguilla and St. Kitts and Nevis and Ceiba, St. Eustatius, St. Bart's. Again, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, all with these passing showers working their way across the area. Nueva Esparta will catch some rain. The ABC Islands, my friends at Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, still with the opportunity for some rain. And again, these are areas that haven't had a lot of rain recently or kind of almost all summer long. So to continue with the opportunity to get some rain to cool things off, that's going to be some good news. But obviously, the rain chances are going to be higher when you go farther west in this pattern. So again, for Santo Domingo and Punta Cana, Santiago de los Caballeros, rain chances will be decent. All right, they're not going to be exceptionally high through Tuesday or Wednesday, but they're going to be better than what they have been. Same thing for Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and Lacaille as well. Now you get into Jamaica, and we start to see those rain chances creep up. It's still going to take a couple of days for this to evolve, but rain chances in these areas will just go higher and higher with the deep, rich tropical moisture. And obviously here you can already start to see the spin. Now, part of this, again, is the broader Central American gyre, but this is also the same area that Helene developed as well last week. So we got to keep very close attention. This is going to spin in a lot of rain for Nicaragua and Honduras. Places like Roatan, San Pedro Sula there, Belize City, Dangriga, on over towards Chetumal, Cancun and Cozumel, relatively wet pattern ahead for you guys here. Still going to be fairly quiet in the Bahamas and the Turks and the Caicos. Not a huge chance of rain there from the Acklins to Cat Island, Nassau, New Providence, Freeport, and Lucaya. Don't expect a lot of showers there. A few passing showers that's working their way off of the east coast of the United States should be able to move into Bermuda. So let's break down that island by island rain chance for the next 3 days. Again, for the Bahamas, isolated showers, still going to be heavy, but not a lot of you are going to get it. Relatively speaking, it's been a nice week and will continue to early next week. Same thing for the Turks and the Caicos. Cuba's rain chance is pretty darn high. 60% chance tomorrow, Monday, 70 on Tuesday. We'll start to see the rain chances creep up in all other areas in this part of the world. Cayman Islands go from a 30% chance tomorrow, 40 Monday, Tuesday. Look for those numbers to continue to rise through next week. Belize City, 40 tomorrow, 50 Monday, Tuesday. And that creep up of the rain chances for Cancun and Cozumel up to a 50% chance on Tuesday. Jamaica's rain chances are decent through Tuesday. And again, they should go higher as well. I'll look at things again tomorrow, but might be able to up that chance on Tuesday. Should continue to climb there. Again, the Dominican Republic's rain chances are solid. They're not exceptional, but we'll get some passing showers and downpours there. It'll go back and forth across Puerto Rico. Again, we had some good rain today in some spots, but other areas were completely dry. I expect that pattern to continue. Same thing our friends in the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John, on over towards Virgin Gorda and Anegada, all with passing shower opportunities. Slightly higher chances for Bermuda and then Anguilla and especially St. Kitts and Nevis. As you get into the Lesser Antilles, 50% chance tomorrow, still a solid 40 on Monday and Tuesday. Antigua Barbuda even has a 60% chance for tomorrow on kind of the far northeast side of the island chain. A little bit more moisture to play with there. But Montserrat and Guadeloupe, solid rain chances to wrap up the weekend. Still decent Monday and Tuesday. That's about the same situation Dominique and Martinique. We'll have higher chances St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines tomorrow, and then those rain chances should tail off a little bit quicker as you go a little bit farther south in the islands. Same situation for Barbados. And again, Barbados is one of those areas that has continued to see some excessive rainfall each afternoon, though it's been more localized, at least as of now. But for Sunday, there could be some spots of heavier rain. Talking about maybe 1 to 3 inches in a couple of spots. That's 25 to 75 millimeters. Grenada, again, isolated to scattered. Same thing for our friends in Trinidad and Tobago. Suriname, Guyana, still heavier rains across the mainland there. And then some of that is sneaking north to places like Nueva Esparta and the ABC Islands, where their rain chances are, again, a little bit higher. That's good news. Friends, as we get into the tropics part of this video, I do appreciate you hitting that like button for me right now. Thank you so much and welcome to all of our new subscribers. Thank you for finding the channel. If you like these daily forecasts across the Caribbean, the Bahamas, and of course your tropical updates across the entire Atlantic basin, including the Gulf of Mexico, make sure you subscribe. Thank you again for also finding ways to support me here at the channel. Our memberships, that's the join button, just 99 cents a month. The super thanks and other ways that you can find in the description below. All right. So now we get into what's going to be happening tropically. Again, I unfortunately don't have, and I'll check it one more time. Literally, I've been told that this satellite feed might return at any time, even as I'm recording this video. I still don't see it. So the first things I want to look at is what's actually out there right now. If you remember, we ticked off the I and the J name storms while Helene was causing all the problems. And of course still is. So we have Isaac in the North Atlantic. It's a hurricane, but it is continuing to move into the open waters of the far North Atlantic. It will continue to weaken, become more of a hybrid system as it interacts with cooler and cooler air. These are the kinds of storms we like to see in September. This is another kind of storm we like to see in September as well. This is Tropical Storm Joyce. It is out in the open waters of the Central Atlantic. It is a tropical storm and should weaken and actually become extratropical in the next 3 days or so. And again, Joyce is well away from the Lesser Antilles and the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico and well away from any landmass and will just be a fish storm. On the heels of Joyce, we do have another disturbance with a very high likelihood of becoming a named storm. This could be Kirk. This could be Leslie, depending on what happens in the western side of the Atlantic. Let me loop up the GFS model here over the next week or so. I want to do that for the Western Caribbean storm anyway. And you'll see, this is an Invest, by the way. So we do have an Invest 90L. So we're back to 90L. Now, this one does look to become a named storm, whether the one in the Caribbean does or not. So this will either be Kirk or Leslie, because growing confidence that within about a 3 to 5 day period, we're going to get a named storm, or we could potentially even get a hurricane here. However, the track of this on the GFS model and the other models is a good one. Once again, a quick curve north, gaining latitude fast, well east of the Lesser Antilles, back into the open waters of the Central Atlantic. I'll keep a very close eye on this, obviously, but all the model data that I'm seeing right now, we'll look at the ensemble members coming up, show that this storm should recurve north just like Joyce did. That's great news because that one could be on the stronger side, as you can see. Now let's get into what might be happening with this next system here. So I'm back to basically the beginning here on this Saturday. First things first, again, you see that this area from the National Hurricane Center, which is the official potential development region, is now orange. It's up to a 50% chance. In the short term, the evolution of this system in the Western Atlantic could be very similar to Helene. Now look, that doesn't mean down the road it's going to have the track and the strength of Helene, but it's trying to develop on the eastern side of that Central American gyre in the same place Helene did. And here's the GFS model. Again, trying to wrap up a system, could even be a little bit earlier in time here, okay? So again, today is the 28th, and as we get into midweek, so this is today, Saturday, Sunday, some scattered showers as we get into Monday, and then eventually into Tuesday and Wednesday, we're gonna start to see this evolve. So by midweek, the opportunity in the Northwest Caribbean to get a tropical depression or even a tropical storm, or it just stays a ragged system. However, the models are trying to wrap this up. And you notice that on the GFS that I'm showing you here, it does follow that path into the south central Gulf of Mexico. Now, from what happens from here, as you would expect, and just like it was with Helene at the beginning, the models diverge. They're all over the place, okay? But a similar setup overall looks to be in play for next week with a developing system in the Northwest Caribbean that gets into the Gulf of Mexico, and we'll see what happens from there. As you would expect, without a true area of low pressure so far, the models still have a lot of degrees of difference. That's what the GFS model looks like when it comes to the reflectivity or the rain. This is what it looks like when it comes to the wind. And I'm going to drop this development area off, but notice that the Hurricane Center is already keeping a very close eye on this. They've made this already a 50% chance area, and I think we are still days away from the evolution of this. But there is the possibility that quicker we get a developing system. So I want our friends in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands and all of Central America and the Yucatan and Cuba to be aware of that. There could be a tropical storm in the Northwest Caribbean. And again, we've got Kirk and Leslie next. Is it the one in the Atlantic? Is it the one in the Western Caribbean? We'll see who comes first, but there is a high likelihood that both of these areas become named storms, okay? It's that time of the year. And again, if we look at this on this latest run of the GFS model, just to show you, again, these are the wind speeds, and these are sustained winds in miles an hour. So if I zoom into this area here, midweek, you do see that the GFS deterministic does have a tropical storm, okay? And then spins it up and takes it through the Yucatan Channel or close again, nearly similar path to Helene, and then a little bit farther west. But I don't really want to get into a lot of talk of track as it gets into the Gulf, and you'll see why in a second. There's still a lot of things to work out. So let's first of all talk about the GFS ensemble. You looked at the deterministic model. This is the ensemble. You can clearly see a couple of the members have a developing system into the Northwest Caribbean, and then from there it disperses. You have some going to the west, you have some going to the north coast, you have some curving back into Florida again, and this takes you out until next week. So it's about a 7-day loop. I'll let it go one more time. First development here on the GFS would be late Tuesday, Wednesday. Some of the members don't really even try and spin it up until it gets right towards the Yucatan, and that wouldn't be until about Thursday. And again, there's still a large spread. Oops, sorry about that. There's a large spread, the GFS, and we would expect that. It was the same situation that we had with Helene. If we look at the European model, about the same time frame, obviously looking at the same part here. Again, first signs of development would be Tuesday, Wednesday, few more members on Thursday. And again, you have a fairly wide cluster in the Gulf by the end, all right? Some west, some central, some east. Certainly the opportunity of some kind of a recurve as well, but you notice that some of the members do have stronger storms developing as we get towards next weekend. So obviously the global models are honing in on these areas, and we have to really keep a very close eye out. There's another area to watch out for as well. And I'm going to take you deeper into the European model. So we just looked at the European model in the short term, but the 2-week time frame as we get into 2 weeks from now, and let me take myself off camera just so you guys can see. I want you to look to the right-hand side of your screen. Obviously, you see more members of the European try and bring in a system towards the Lesser Antilles, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. Again, this is down the road and simply for informational purposes only for sure. Stepping all over the map, and I apologize, but obviously this is the areas as well. The GFS actually doesn't have this on the map so far, but down the road, it's that time of the year, late September, October, we should anticipate having to monitor several different areas. Again, that's far away, but I didn't want to not include that in this video. Obviously, surf and sea conditions are going to get kicked up with that development in the Western Caribbean. So for our friends in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands and the Caribbean coastline of the Yucatan and Central America, again, this model is based off of the GFS. And once again, we could see some exceptional wave heights coming back in if this develops. It is not a guarantee, right? But the Hurricane Center already has a 50% chance. You saw some of the models getting going already. Once we get an invest area, if that happens, once we start getting the tropical models coming in, just like with Helene, we'll be able to hone things down. But remember, the first cone from the National Hurricane Center all the way here with Helene was within 25 miles of the actual landfall. I've mentioned it many times in the live stream. The models are really good with track. They still struggle with intensity, and especially with rapidly developing storms like Helene was. We'll get more into that later as well. Friends, I appreciate you following us across all social media. We're not just here. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, where we do some exclusive content, and we've really had a nice following on TikTok lately, and I appreciate you guys for finding us there. X, we've got a Facebook page. You want to send me a picture or video, it's myMediaMundo@gmail.com. Of course, you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. And of course, while you're down there, thank you so much for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing to Meteo Mundo. You have a great rest of your Saturday. I'll be back tomorrow with all the newest details for you right here at Meteo Mundo.